thirsty and needy, weakened and ailing. Hello, welcome to the Power of Sound Mind series. This is where we talk about living our life in Christ more abundantly, without fear, and with power, love, and a sound mind. If you've been following this series, I hope that you've been applying the principles that we've been talking about to your life and to how you approach navigating life, and you have been seeing results. I know that I have. I have been walking in so much confidence, knowing the power that I have access to, knowing who I am, and going out there and fulfilling destiny and fulfilling purpose. And I tell you, this year is shaping up to be my best year yet. I hope that that is the same for anyone else who's been following this series. And if this is your testimony, please drop a comment. Let us know how you've been doing. Let us know what your experiences have been in the last few months. Now, if you haven't been following the series and this is your first time watching this, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm very happy that you have chosen to join in this conversation and in these talks. I have 3 things that I will ask you to do. So 1, please subscribe, hit the notification button, that bell, so that when next videos drop, you get to know. 2 would be to watch the video to the end. Watch it to the end. At the end of that video, of this video, you will get end screens that will lead you into the other videos in the series. I encourage you to watch them all. They all build on each other and they all work together to support you and to give you the tools that you need to live more powerfully and without fear. 3rd thing, communicate. Let us know. If you find value in these videos, please like. Also, comment. If you have something to say, let us hear it. We want to hear it. Let us hear it. What is your perspective? What has been your experience? And this is not just for new viewers. This is for other people who have been following the series. And finally, share. Share the news. Share the message with your friends, with your family, with anyone who you think needs to hear the message in these videos. Let's all come together. The world is a better place. Life is a better place if we're supporting each other to be better. So without further ado, I'm welcoming you to this month's affirmation. Let's get into it. So this is the month of May, and our affirmation for this month is, I claim my territory. And the verse that we are taking this affirmation from is Joshua 1:3, which states that every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. Now, this is God speaking to Joshua after the death of Moses, when God was pretty much giving Joshua his commission on what he was supposed to do, which was to lead the children into the promised land. And God said, every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you. This is one of my favorite verses. That is just one of the mantras that I live my life by. Every place that the sole of my feet tread upon, God has given it to me. God has given it to me as mine. It is mine, right? So be it my job, my marriage, my business, my vocation as a music minister, my role in my children's life as their mother. This is what I believe, that it has been given to me as mine. It is mine. No one can take it away from me. Okay? And so I walk in the confidence of that knowledge that this is mine. It is mine. Of course, it comes with a responsibility, and I am more than willing to work at it and live up to those responsibilities. But it is mine. I am not afraid that anyone is going to come take it away from me. Okay? And one of the things that is very important to understand is that when something is yours, it comes with, like I said, it comes with responsibility, but it also comes with authority. And it is the claiming of that authority that is the claiming of your territory. That is when you claim it as your territory. Okay? I have authority over this territory, over this space. My marriage, my work, my motherhood, my business, my vocation, my ministry. This is my territory by the grace of God, given to me by God. And I will walk in that confidence, in the authority, and of course, with the responsibility that comes with having that space. Why is it necessary to know this? I mean, it is possible to say these things, every place that the sole of my foot treads upon has been given to me as an inheritance. I am a child of God. I have access to the power of God. He who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. We say all these things, but are we really living them? Are we really claiming them? Are we walking with the power and the authority that comes with that knowledge that we claim that we know? Are we claiming our territory? You see, because it is very possible to have territory and not claim it, to have authority and not claim it, and then walk without authority and walk small when you should be walking big. When you should be called to bigger things, you minimize yourself. And there's the head knowledge that this is who you are, this is who you should be, this is what God has called you to be. But somehow in the practical, you still minimize yourself and you don't walk in the fullness of who God has called you to be. And when you do that, you live below your privilege. You don't achieve all that you have been called to achieve. You don't live in the fullness of the purpose and of your destiny. And when you do that, you become resentful. You become resentful because what you've done is you've given someone else your power. Instead of taking that power and walking in that power, you've given that power to someone else. And they then exercise authority over you in a place where you should be exercising the authority. And today I'm going to give you 2 examples from the Bible of people who were reluctant to take up their territory and take up the authority that they had. And the first I'm going to talk about is the story of the prodigal son. Now, usually when we talk about the story of the prodigal son, we focus on the younger brother who went off, who took his inheritance, went off and wasted it and made bad choices. But there was also another brother in that story, and that was the elder brother who stayed faithful, who stayed at home, who worked with his father. He didn't say, I want my inheritance and take off, and he stayed. And then when the younger brother found himself and he came back, the father was so excited to have the younger brother back, and he killed the fattest calf and threw a party and all of that. And when that was going on, the older brother came back from the fields where he'd been working, and he asked, what's going on? There's a party. And the servants told him, oh, your brother is back and your father is throwing a party for him. And he was so upset. He was so upset. He was so resentful. He refused to go into the house. Now you can find the full story of the prodigal son in Luke 15, verse 11 to 32. But I'm going to just pull out the verse that I really, really want us to focus on. And that is from Luke 15, verse 28. But he, that is the older brother, was angry and would not go in. And his father came out and made a request to him to come in. I'm reading from Basic English Version of the Bible. Verse 29, but he made answer and said to his father, see, all these years I have been your servant, doing your orders in everything, and you never gave me even a young goat so that I might have a feast with my friends. But when this your son came, who has been wasting your property with bad women, you put to death the fat young ox for him. And he, and this is the father now, said to the older brother, son, You are with me at all times. All I have is yours. Think about that. Think about the language that was used. In verse 29, the older brother says, all these years I have been your servant. See, he was a son. He was a son. But he had the heart of a servant. He worked like his father's servant, not like his father's son. You see, remember, there were two boys. The younger one took his part of the inheritance and took off, meaning that everything that was left belonged to the older brother. And his father says it in verse 31. He says, son, you are with me at all times. All I have is yours. This was all yours. Everything was yours. But the son didn't catch that. He didn't walk in the realization that everything was his. If he wanted a goat, he could have taken a goat. If he wanted a party, he could have thrown a party. Everything was his. It was all his. But he didn't claim his territory. He didn't claim his authority. He didn't walk in the power of the knowledge that everything was his. He wasn't a servant, he was a son. But he lived like a servant. He was waiting. He was waiting. He said in the latter part of verse 29, you never gave me a young goat. He was waiting to be given what was already his to take. The second example I'm going to give is from the book of Esther. It's the whole book of Esther tells the full story. I'm not going to go into the entire book. But Esther was a young girl who found herself queen as a result of certain circumstances that happened in the palace. Then the Jews were being ruled by the Persian kingdom. So this was a Persian king, King Ahasuerus, who had trouble with his Queen Vashti, and needed to replace her. And through a series of events, Esther found favor with the king, and she became the new queen. But as in those days, there's always palace intrigues, and there's always politics playing in the king's court. And she found herself in a situation where the Jews were in trouble. And she was a Jew, even though she hadn't declared that she was a Jew. The people in the palace, the king didn't know that she was a Jew. But politics and palace intrigues had come to play, and so the Jews were all in danger. And of course, she was a Jew, so she would also be in danger. And she was called upon by her uncle, her cousin, but who was much older than her and had taken a fatherly role in her life. His name was Mordecai. And Mordecai had approached her and said, look, we're in trouble. Trouble is brewing for the Jews. You need to do something about it. You are in the king's palace. You are the queen. You need to do something about it. And I'm going to read to you from Esther 4, verse 11, what Esther said. This is Esther speaking now. She says, it is common knowledge among all the king's servants and the people of every part of the kingdom, that if anyone, man or woman, comes to the king in his inner room without being sent for, there is only one law for him, that he is to be put to death. Only those to whom the king's rod of gold is stretched out may keep their lives. But I have not been sent for to come before the king these 30 days. What is she talking about? Yes, there was a rule. There was a rule. Well, was it a rule? It was common knowledge. It's like saying it has been said, it is well known. Not necessarily that there was a rule, but it is common knowledge. Everyone knows this. The servants know it, everybody else knows it, that anyone who comes before the king without being requested gets killed. But she wasn't anyone. She wasn't just anyone. She was the queen. She wasn't a servant. She wasn't just any man or woman in the kingdom. She was the queen. But again, here again, we see that she was waiting. She was waiting to be called. The last part of her statement says, I have not been sent for to come before the king these 30 days. She was waiting to be called. Don't wait to be called. Don't wait to be given a goat that belongs to you. Don't wait. Claim your territory. Walk in the authority that you have. Thank God that Esther had Mordecai, because he quickly put her straight. He quickly told her, look, understand, if this comes for us, it comes for us all. You being in the king's palace will not save you. If we die, we all die. And how do you know that this is not the reason that you are in the king's palace, that you are queen today, so that you can save your people? He put her straight. He told her who she was, reminded her who she knew she was the queen. There was no way she couldn't have known she was the queen. She knew she was the queen, but she didn't quite realize what that meant. And Mordecai, thank God, reminded her and set her straight. And so she went into prayer and fasting, and she took the chance. And she said, you know what, I'm going to do it. If I die, I die. And she went before the king, and she found favor before the king. And he said to her, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. I will give it to you, up to half of my kingdom. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? That was on the table. And she was going to minimize herself. That was what she had access to, and she didn't know it. She wasn't living in the full knowledge of who she was. And so the rest of the story tells about how between her and Mordecai, they deployed some strategies that eventually resulted in not just the salvation of the Jews, but the upliftment of the Jews to the point where they had special status in the kingdom at the time. And even for her, for Mordecai, he was uplifted. He was given a title. He was like what you would pretty much call like the prime minister. The only person who had authority above Mordecai was the king. And even for Esther, she also had authority to the point where she issued decrees in her own name, not even like secondary to the king. Like she issued decrees in her name, Queen Esther. She stepped into that authority. But she had to take that first step to become who she was meant to be. So when God promises us, and God has given you a revelation and a word that you are bigger than where you are, it's not for you to sit on your hands and wait. It's not about waiting. You need to step up. You need to step into that revelation. You need to claim that territory. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you. When the children of Israel finally took the promised land, God had promised them everything. It was their land, but they still had to fight for it. The walls of Jericho fell down by them walking around the walls, and they did not fight for the walls to come down. No blood was spilled for the walls to come down. But when they went into the land, even though God had said, this is your land, I have given it to you, they still had to fight to get it. They still had to do something to get it. So even when God has promised us that this is ours, this is our destiny, this is our inheritance, this is our purpose, you still have to do something. Like I said, you can't sit on your hands. You still have to claim your territory. Don't wait to be called. Don't wait. We have to do something. And so I hope that as we start this new month of May, there are areas in your life that you're looking at right now as you're listening to this and thinking, I need to step up. I need to step up. I need to claim my territory. I need to start walking in confidence and in the knowledge of who I am and who God has called me to be, and what my purpose is and what my destiny is, and the access to power that I have. I need to pull that and start working it. Faith without works is dead. You need to work. You need to put in the work. And I hope that this message is resonating with someone today. And I wish you all the best in the month of May. And let's come together again and talk about how we're walking in power, love, and a sound mind.